Welcome to Music Guru, where rock and metal never die and every classic note still matters. Alright, today we're going to talk about something that Gene Simmons said back in 2009 about Carlos Santana, and these comments were quoted from an article by Marina Watts that appeared in People magazine here quite recently. And in the article, Gene Simmons just slams Carlos Santana and says that it is time for him to get off the stage, and that Santana is a boring act, and that he is the type of musician that simply stares at his shoes. Now, Santana had some things to say in response, and I'm going to let you know what those are, but first I want you to hear something that Carlos Santana said about being a musician in the first place. So let's listen in to what he had to say.
If you don't give yourself chills, no one else is going to get them either. So you have to learn how to give yourself chills, before you hit that note. And then other people are going to get chills, because if you don't get them, why should anybody? It's important that a musician connects immediately with the heart. Otherwise you lose them, and then they go somewhere else. It's not volume, it's not loud or anything. It's more like the intensity of the intensity of your heart.
Alright, now let's contrast those comments with something that Gene Simmons said about live bands and live performances and the way that audiences kind of hear with their eyes. Now let's listen in to Gene Simmons' comments.
Because when people go to your concerts, they listen with their eyes first. They're not quite as aware of the ears, because that's why visuals are so important, and lights and all the rest of that.
So basically what Simmons is saying is that being a good band, having good music and sounding good isn't enough, because it won't get people's attention and hold it. You also have to appeal to them visually. And this is one reason why Kiss was so fixated on creating image and spectacle during their performances. Now, Santana's response to Simmons was that if you need to wear eyeliner and dress up in big boots and have explosions and play a character, then it probably means that you don't know anything about music. And the exact quote was, quote, "He wouldn't know what music is anyway," end quote. So they are on complete opposite sides of the spectrum here, with Simmons saying, hey, it's spectacle as much as sound, and with Santana saying, if you're a good enough musician and you have good music and it's in your soul and you're playing with heart, you do not need any other ingredients. The music alone is magic enough to sweep people off their feet. So I think this is a pretty serious disagreement and a meaningful one, and I cover this topic a lot on the channel, difference between spectacle and art, and I think that they're not mutually exclusive, first of all, and I do think that there's room for various types of flavors of live performance, but I also think that particularly nowadays, with the attention spans getting shorter and shorter and the competition for attention getting harsher and harsher, I think that it becomes more typical for people to look at flash and at spectacle. And on the flip side, the problem with getting that kind of easy attention is that it doesn't last very long. People see you do your thing and then they move on to the next thing. So of course, striking a balance is the ideal, but it's easier to say than do. And in this case, we have a direct debate with opposing viewpoints, with Carlos Santana on one extreme side and Gene Simmons on the other. So my question to you is, who do you think is right? Do you think that Gene Simmons is right and that people, quote, see with their eye? Or do you think that Carlos Santana is right and it just matters that you play what is in your heart? For my own part, I think that it's somewhere in between the two, but if I had to pick one side or the other, I would say that Carlos Santana is probably right. For most people, the best bet is to do what is in your heart. But of course, for some people, what is in your heart as an artist is to dress up like Kiss and make explosions on a stage somewhere. This is what I think. But what really matters is what you think. So if you have an idea about this or any other topic connected to classic or contemporary music, please drop it in the section below, and remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Music Guru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.